Thank you for bringing that live. But thank you for letting me know. I was unaware of that. So I will. Murphy's good. I caught it. Okay. Thank you. We can talk about it if you want. Maybe start with Virginia and no, but thank you so. The way I want
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dartmouth Curling Club on a beautiful Thursday morning. A little bit of a cool Thursday here in Dartmouth, as it is Draw 5 action of the 2020 Deloitte Tankard here, presented by 360 Live, powered by Bell 5. I'm John Seitman here with you, your sole man on the microphone for this morning's action, as it will be Chad Stevens and his team out of the Truro Curling Club facing off against the Lakeshore-based foursome of Team Andrew Gibson. As we get started here with this first end of play, here we will see settling into the hack former Tim Hortons Briar representative. I believe he was on that famous team Mark Dacey way back when they won that title in 2004. But we see there Kelly Middlestat settles in and delivers the first stone to kick off this match, meaning that Team Andrew Gibson won the last rock and will have the hammer playing. So it'll be Andrew Gibson that will have the hammer playing the Yellowstones. So as we get started, we will give you a rundown on all the teams there. Correction, all the players competing in this morning's contest. Chad Stevens and his rink, as mentioned, they curl out of the Truro Curling Club. Their lead is Kelly Middlestat. Their second is Graham Breckton. Their third is Peter Burgess. And their skip is Chad Stevens. Of course, Peter Burgess, that legendary family out of Truro. Lots of very good curlers in that group, including actually two of, I believe it would be nieces there that are curling at the Canadian Junior Championship in Langley, BC. That's Carly Burgess and Lindsay Burgess, of course, Lindsay representing Nova Scotia with Team Taylor Stevens, and Carly, former Nova Scotia representative, now representing Manitoba with Team Mackenzie Zacharias, potentially looking toward facing off in the final of the New Holland Canadian Junior Championship, but they've just started up in championship pool. We wish them the best of luck, of course. Lots of Nova Scotia representatives in this year's event. And Andrew Gibson and his rink, we'll talk about them. Their lead is Donald McDermott. Their second is Mike Bardsley. Their third is Mike Fleming. And their skip is 2004 Tim Hortons Briar champion Andrew Gibson. First year skipping the provincial level there after a long time playing in the second and third position there. Some of our viewers may be familiar there with Andrew after he curled for a while there with both Mark Dacey returning to his former skipper, and then of course as well a little while playing with Sean Adams. So for some of our viewers who may not be as familiar with the rules of this event, it's a little bit different than what some of you may be familiar with events like what you'd see on like the Grand Slam of Curling or World Curling Tour events that you may see on live streaming. It is 10 ends of play. Yeah, 10 ends of play, 38 minutes of thinking time per team, and if we are tied at the completion of that 10 ends of play, we would head off to extra ends to decide the game. And of course, after 5 ends of play, we would have about a short 5-minute break for the teams to take a little break, and of course have the ice crew do the great work that they do. As we see there, teams exchanging hits throughout this first end. Normally, this is pretty much a style that you would see in any game, but especially the long 10-end format. Neither team wanting to force the issue early. As we see, Mike Bardsley gets the hit, rolls to the side, and out for a clean house here. So on to third stones here. Peter Burgess, Chad Stevens calling for the come-around draw behind the two guards at the top of the house. Middlestat working on this one, trying to get curl. Looks like it's not going to curl as much as they had hoped. Will come to rest back at the 4. So a little bit of a down weight hit called here from Mike Fleming. Looking at a bit of a backline weight, so one of those down weight hit. One's there.
Chad's daughter.
Of course, we do mention about a few of those Burgesses that are playing at the New Holland Canadian Junior Championship. We would be amiss to also forget there that the skipper for Team Nova Scotia happens to be the daughter of Chad Stevens, the skip of this rink, playing here this morning. And they've been doing pretty well. I believe at last check they were at 5-1 in the championship pool, sitting in second place behind Team Zacharias of Manitoba. So good potential to see them in the playoff rounds coming up on the weekend. So as we have both teams still exchanging hits, we'll as well let you know about some of the other games that are taking place this morning here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. On Sheet B, it's a battle of the young guns, as it is Matthew Manuel, the multi-time junior provincial champion, who I can say with great pride has defeated me a few times there in junior in high school competition a few years ago. He faces off against the defending champion team Stuart Thompson out of the Dartmouth Curling Club, who some of you may have been tuning in to watch the match that I called for you yesterday afternoon, as it was a extra end victory for Kendall Thompson over Stuart, handing him his first loss of the event in that Battle of the Brothers that is always an exciting one to watch. On sheet C, that is our other feature game where Jim Nix has the call for you. It is Jamie Murphy, the multi-time former champion of this event, looking to regain the crown after a loss last year in the final to Stuart Thompson. He faces off against Brent McDougall, the longtime star of the Nova Scotia circuit, former mixed champion, if I remember correctly. And then on sheet E, that is right next to us on the other side, as we see a stone here from Chad Stevens. Sweeper's working on it here, trying to get it as far as he can, get it to top 4. Sitting 1-2 is Team Stevens. On sheet E, it is Alan O'Leary, the former world senior champion, facing off against the other Thompson brother, currently holding a 2-2 record. That is Kendall Thompson. So Stevens holding a count of 2 there after that pretty good draw there from Chad to the top of the 4-foot. Looks like you're going to see some nice weight here from Gibson, the former second and third, who knows how to play the big hit weight. Going a little bit down weight on this one. Sweeper's working on it here, trying to get it by. Looks like it's going to be tight. Ooh, and that's not what you wanted to see, as he spills another blue into the house. Looking highly likely to end up being a force play there against Team Gibson, or could even be the potential for Stevens to take a steal to kick off this matchup. A few options here for sure there for Chad. Looks like, based on that, he's gonna play, yeah, there. Looks like it's just a guard on the center line, protect against any form of hit onto those stones toward the middle, especially the shot stone there at the top of the floor. Chad Stevens here without the last rock. Sweepers working on it here, Breckton and Middlestat. Pretty good result, comes to rest. Just biting the edge of the center line. So I should remember there, as Andrew Gibson talks over his final stone with his third Fleming. I'm a little bit not used to on some of these rosters. There's some of them that do have coaches in fifths. We have yet to have any in the matchups that I've been calling. But I neglected to mention as well for Team Chad Stevens, the fifth, and I should mention because he's sitting right next to me, is Chris Grancelli. Got to give you the airtime too. So you may see him at some points in this matchup. There are, of course, coaches and or fifths are allowed to head to the ice when teams call timeouts. So we will see here final stone and number 1, Andrew Gibson. Bardsley working on that one there a bit early. Really gliding. Needs to come down. And that will be, whoa, a steal of 4 to open up his accounts on the Thursday morning. Wow. Teams that have really had some interesting big steals there early in this in games in this tournament so far. Wow, I'm a little bit stunned, to be honest. It was one of those ones there where it's just probably a little bit of a path there that they just got into. It just went. But it is what it is. Excuse me, it is what it is, and it'll be a 4 for Team Chad Stevens to kick off this game. That will mean Andrew Gibson will have the last rock in end number 2 playing the Yellow Stones. A reminder there, if you are in the area and want to come and watch some awesome curling like you have seen on this broadcast, we'd love to see you down here at the Dartmouth Curling Club on Canal Street. A nice value to watch some exciting championship curling with some of the top teams in Atlantic Canada, if not the country.
I'm not flexible enough.
So as we saw there, Team Stevens puts one in on the back of the 4 corner guard setup from Team Gibson, immediately wanting to attempt to manufacture a multiple point end. After a steal like that, you really need a big recovery. So Chad, not really needing to force the issue, will just lob another one in. We'll get to the bite the top of the ace. Of course, one of the big things there of an event like this is, of course, the support of our many sponsors there that make events like this happen, and one of those for this tournament is our title sponsor for the men's event, that is Deloitte. And actually, we've been pretty fortunate there this morning. We have at the club there Susan Lee representing Deloitte, a former Dartmouth Curling Club member, schoolgirls provincial champ, and also played for Newfoundland at the Canadian Junior Championship. So a former junior representative in her own right and supporter of the sport of curling. We're happy to have her here and the support of Deloitte in putting an event on like this. So it looks like that was that stone there, as we talked, just got burned. So probably a brush touched that on the way down. So removed from play. A little bit of an opportunity for Andrew Gibson now to be able to make a play into the house, put another rock in, and maybe put some pressure on. Of course, we have two teams here who are in completely different positions there in an event like this. You have Team Chad Stevens, who currently hold a 3-1 record through 4 rounds, with wins over Manuel O'Leary and McDougall, and a loss to Jamie Murphy. So they're in a position where they're really looking to solidify a spot in the playoffs, whether it be a bye to the final or maybe a trip to the semifinal on Saturday. Their team Gibson a little bit in the fight of their lives there after they have dropped the last 3 there, with a win in round 1 against Kendall Thompson and losses to Stuart Thompson, Team Murphy, and Team McDougall. They're pretty much going to need to run the table and try to win this game against Chad, and then win against Matthew Manuel and Alan O'Leary, and have some help from others to solidify a potential to make the playoffs. So down by a count of 4 already on the board. They're really going to need to work here against Team Chad Stevens, and Stevens and his team performing extremely well here. As we talk, we already had those few yellows removed from play, and it is a count of 3 in the house right now. Probably going to see Andrew start to bail out of this end a little bit, as you want to try to manufacture a multiple point end with the last rock. Bardsley working on this one here. Starting to curl. Where will it go? It will get 1 stone removed from play and will roll out the other side, it appears. Will do so. So Peter Burgess here. Third stones for Chad Stevens. Of course, this Stevens rink has had a few different formats of how they've put together their lineup. I've seen ones where a few years ago it was Chad throwing the 3rd stones, and it was actually Paul Fleming that was throwing the last rocks. And then at one point I remember, I think I saw at one point it was Peter actually did throw the last rocks in a similar format there. But I may be wrong. There's been a few team changes over my time commentating this sport of curling. We'll update you of the games across the sheets, as it will be a big count of 3 for Matthew Manuel in the first end against Stuart Thompson. So big stuff for him against the defending champion. Manuel in the same position as what you saw with Kendall Thompson, trying to keep his hopes alive, currently sitting at a record of 2-2 on our other feature game with Jim Nix. Over on the far side there we have Jamie Murphy and Brent McDougall. It will be a blank end in that first end of competition on this Thursday. And then on sheet E, it will be a blank end between Alan O'Leary and Kendall Thompson. But back on this rink, we have Skip Stones here, Chad Stevens, Middlestad, and Breckton working on this one here, trying to get it as far as you can. Our boys don't want the jam because that could produce a big multiple, depending on how far it goes. We'll nudge it a little bit. Opportunity now here. The big question is, how can you manufacture a multiple here? You really need to find a way to get that back of the 4-foot stone belonging to Chad Stevens removed from play. In order to really get a multiple back, you need about 2 or 3 to have a effective result. So far pretty good conditions for the players throughout this event. The ice looking pretty much the exact same as I saw there yesterday afternoon when I had our last game to call together here. Sweeper's working on this one. Great draw there from Gibson to hold a count of 2. And honestly, maybe one of those situations where Chad may honestly be fine with giving up a multiple if 2 things: A, it doesn't tie the game up, and B, it gets him back with the last rock and the lead himself. Final stone here for Chad Stevens without the last rock. Coming down that same path there is, oh, whoa, wow. That's one of those ones where you've got to just tip your hat and say good play there, because that is a great shot, and appears to be a good potential to beat the shot stone. So Andrew and Mike having a bit of a discussion there on this one. To me, I don't see much of any other opportunity there other than maybe playing the excuse me, other than playing almost the same shot that you just played and try to tap it. But really looking like they may be trying to bring that stone at the top of the 8-foot, just biting into play. So we'll see what we can come up with here. Final stone here for Andrew Gibson. McDermott working on this one here, needing to slice a few to get a multiple. Will not. Burgess having a look at this one. Fleming jumping in to just confirm. A little bit of exasperation there on his face. Looks like to me it will be another count there in favor of Team Chad Stevens. So looks like with Middlestat stepping into the hack, that will be a steal of 1 for Chad Stevens, taking a score of 5-zip. Into the third end here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. And honestly, this could be one of those situations where draw 5 really looks like it's going to be a big one for deciding who will be getting the bye to Sunday's final, with the potential to hoist up the Deloitte Tankard and earn a spot at the Tim Hortons Briar. As currently Stevens and Murphy with leads in their matchups. And Stuart Thompson, the defending champion, currently down as well by a score of 5-0 against Matt Manuel, as it is a steal of 2 in the second end. So really needing to manufacture multiple, I mean, you already see the corner guard set up from Team Gibson. And again, not needing to force the issue. Stevens just lobbing in a few more. Middlestat's first stone right on the button. And you always tend to see that really strong setup play there from Kelly Middlestad every single time. Ever since I've seen him play from the days of, I believe he was with like Sean Adams at one point there, and like he's been brilliant. He's one of the past really 10-15 years. He's been one of the top front end players in Nova Scotia. So McDermott coming around here, trying to set up another corner guard, really manufacture some offense as best he can. And Sweepers needing to work on this to get it by. Will it go? It will not. It will rub and come back toward center line. So again, not really needing to force much of any issue. We see Graham Breckton jumping in, putting another one in right at the 4-foot, holding a count of 3. Could this be a sign of the times, or could it be the final countdown on Andrew Gibson and his team's potential for making the Tim Hortons Brier? So gets the hit, like taps it, just nudges it around. So again, Graham not needing to force much of the issue whatsoever. We'll play a little bit of a down weight toward this, just drawing toward the 4-foot. And really putting the pressure on right on full gas. Sweepers really working on this one here. Middlestad and Fleming will come to rest. Top of the 4. So really setting up extremely well for the Chad Stevens rink. So you're really going to need to see a big shot here from Bardsley to save this end, or else it could be quitting time fairly early. Of course, today these men's rinks have 2 games, as they will have a game at 7 o'clock, as Andrew Gibson will be in our other feature game on sheet C. That will be against Matthew Manuel, and then Chad Stevens and his rink will be on sheet E, facing off against Stuart Thompson. So again, not needing to force much of an issue here. Peter Burgess. Sweepers working on this one, trying to hold the line. Trying to just get a bit of a nudge. We'll do so. Sits a count of 2, nice and buried. So it's really in one of these situations where you're almost certainly going to have to, like, if you're Andrew Gibson, you're really almost at a position that's almost impossible to bail out. You really need to find a way to get whatever you can out of this end, and then maybe try to get on the steel track. Sweepers just going right off of this. Will nudge off of that stone and will come to rest in the back of the 4.
So I was thinking we're going away this weekend. You'll be back here by what time?
We're going to wrap things up around 1:30, so we could be here for
Big weight from Burgess. Brighton just giving a little bit of a squeeze there. Will push it out the back. Again, setting up extremely well. Mike Fleming, his second of 2. Of course, we already talked about one set of brothers there. One of the other ones there in this competition is, of course, the familiar Fleming brothers. There, of course, Mike Fleming here on this rink, and of course, the longtime representative of Nova Scotia, Paul Fleming, over there playing for Jamie Murphy. Always the avid supporter of junior curling there, Paul Fleming. Founded a little event that I was fortunate enough to play in a few times there at the Mayflower Curling Club, the Polar Express. So really a position here where, again, Chad really doesn't need to force much of the issue there. He's sitting really good position right now, holding 1 nice and buried. It's going to be really tough to manufacture much of anything unless you have, like, double run double, I guess. That's really the only, like, you have to go circus shot really to get a multiple of more than maybe 2. So Stevens, not needing to force much of the issue, will draw. Looks like it's going to be about guard weight, maybe top 12 at the most. Oh, looks like maybe a bit more than I thought. Okay, that's just showing off. That is just showing off. As he draws another one full button, holding 2. But the question is there something that you can do to? Yeah, there looks like double run double is there, and a little bit on the other side. They're definitely gonna make a play using their guard. If you're able to get some contact, you're not gonna spill the yellow at the back of the 4-foot. So it could be an opportunity to get a few back if you do it right. Big shot early here from Andrew Gibson. Wide right out of his hand, so opportunity pretty much for Chad Stevens to really push this game to the limit and To think it's only ends number 3.
If they score more, they're going to ask me to play for Kelly.
At the rates they're going, I haven't called it. I haven't curled in 5 years.
Kelly's always sore, so it's possible.
So again, not needing to force much of the issue here. Chad Stevens looks like he's just gonna guard it up a little bit, put the pressure back on to Andrew Gibson and his ring. Sweeper just dusting this one here, Middlestat and Breckton. And really well done. So really, and that's the tough way that you had that miss during the last shot, because at least the last time you were running in a stone that was your own color. Here now you're having to utilize one of the blue stones belonging to Chad Stevens. Big shot, or it could be the end of the Briar run for Andrew Gibson, and he may only be able to play spoiler or final stone. Really needing to work on it. Gotta go. Definitely a count of 1 for sure. Question is on the second. I don't believe so on that. I think it will just be the 1. But they're having a look. So not moving it, so it looks like they may be, to me it's a little bit of a Hail Mary type of a shot, like, to be able to call measure in this instance, but I guess you never know. It may be closer than we think. So we'll see the official. I believe this is actually the first time that we've seen the officials out on our TV sheet. We'll go here from the yellow belonging to Andrew Gibson over to the blue of Chad Stevens.
I saw Donnie sort of.
Yeah, and it will just be a single point there, so that means that the blue was just that little bit closer, as it looked like to me, based on what we saw there. So Gibson opening up his accounts now in the third end, but gonna need to take a little bit of magic to get back in this contest, as Chad Stevens will have the last rock in end number 4, playing the Blue Stones up by 4. Update of the games across the sheets, as it will be the pretty much exact same margin there on sheet B, as it will be Matthew Manuel, the former junior champion that is just storming through this matchup against Stuart Thompson, currently up 5-1. The defending champion in tough there on sheet B. On sheet C, our other feature game where Jim Nix has the call for you. It is a scoreline of 3-2 in favor of Brent McDougall as he took a 3 against Jamie Murphy. And in our other feature game on sheet E, it is a single point for Kendall Thompson, a steal of 1, as it is 2-0 in favor of him over Alan O'Leary. Now you're up to date on all the coverage. If you want to get any information on this event, the results of draw by draw, and right down to the standings and who's going to be headed off to the Tim Hortons Briar as the Deloitte Tankard champions, you can find all that information on the Nova Scotia Curling Association website. That is nscurl.com. So as we see center guard thrown there from McDermott. Middle stat, again, not needing to force the issue as much there. We'll draw corner side, sitting top 12. So on to second stones here, Mike Bardsley. It's been interesting to see that this combination there, as they're a bit of a newer combination in comparison to all the other 7 teams on the Deloitte Tankard field. So Breckton working on this one here. Big weight. Gets the peel, will remove a few stones out of play. Removes pretty much everything, leaving his shooter sitting as a corner guard. So Bardsley here needing to play a nice come around. Looks like it's gonna be light. So get the skipper coming up to sweep a little bit. We'll get a bit of separation between the two stones. But again, not needing to force much of the issue there. Graham Breckton just lobbing one up and taking out that guard belonging to Gibson. Really in this instance up by 4. No stones in play, are all in favor really of Team Chad Stevens. A 4-1 record going into the next 2 draws would be a really good situation for his rink. I'll actually have to call on a Team Stevens' a final game of the round robin, as we'll be over on sheet C for the big round 7 tomorrow at 2, as they'll be facing off against Kendall Thompson. So third stones here, Peter Burgess. And again, this has been the strong style that we expect out of the Chad Stevens rink. Now they've gotten a lead. They're so strong at their hitting game that it really isn't producing much of any opportunity for Andrews rink to get much of a comeback. So just having a bit of a discussion on placement. You really don't need to go behind those two corner guards. So for Peter, he'll just draw open side. Sweeper's working on it on this one here. Breckton and Middlestat comes to rest top 4 foot. So Andrew needing to really bail out of this end a little bit will play a bit of a hit and roll, trying to attempt to manufacture multiple, or at least, if anything, force Team Stevens to try to take a single point. Sweepers working on this one here. Try to get it just nicely there. Bardsley. There, McDermott jumps in to try to get as far as he can. Will get it across the house to the other side of the 8 foot. Holding a count of 1. So Chad Stevens, not needing to force much of the issue, will go for the hit on the lone stone belonging to Team Gibson. Sweepers working on this one here. Middlestad and Breckton. Gets the hit, sticks right there. And really looking like the possibility of probably a blank coming into play here in the fourth end. Probably likely in this instance. So for this one, you'll see Andrew Gibson going a little bit down weight, try to get a bit of a flop behind the guard to at least manufacture a potential for a steal, and then it would pretty much force Chad Stevens to best that as best he can, and or potentially even if he can get a blank if it's open for him to do so. But this one looking a bit wide. Will get the hit. Rolls. Will it go out far enough? It will. So it appears like we're going to be blanking this end here, as Chad Stevens will not want to score in this instance. He'll want to retain the last rock. Final stone here, end number 4 from Chad Stevens to skip out of the Truro Curling Club. Just sends it right through and will blank the fourth end. It will be a score of 5-1 after 4 here on a crisp Thursday morning at the Dartmouth Curling Club. Hope you're enjoying this matchup. I'm certainly enjoying bringing it to you here as we look forward to determining, our 2020 Deloitte Tankard champions, who will head off to represent Nova Scotia at the Tim Hortons Brier. So just over the hog line there for that one there from Team Gibson. You're not going to really see any need to force the issue from Team Stevens. So Middlestad here, just gonna draw one in behind cover. Looks like it's gonna go about top 8, top 4. Of course, looks like it's going to be a potential for Team Chad Stevens to be in a good position to get the bye to the final there, as they currently in the position that they're in right now. It looks, though of course anything can happen. We saw it there with the matchup there that Team Jones and Team Matatal had earlier in the tournament with the Scotties competition, where there were multiple point steals to come back. If you were betting one there, you'd be pretty highly likely you're going to see Chad Stevens defend this lead up by 4 with the last rock. So 4-1, you'd really be in a good position to take that lead and bring it in to your next 2 games. And any form of falter from Jamie Murphy and his rank, who currently sit at the top of the table, and that could bring anybody into play there. And as we had that little chat there on that, we see a big count of 4 over on sheet B in favor of the defending champion Stuart Thompson, as it will be tie game at 5. That is a steal of 4 for the defending champion, looking to keep his hopes alive to try to rebound off of a extra end loss to his brother Kendall. So really not much of a need to force the issue. You're going to see some big weight coming here from Bracken and Fleming, I'm guessing, as well. A reminder there that after this end we will have about a 5-minute break, but stick with us. We'll have coverage right through down to the final stones. Sweeper's working on this one here from Bardsley. Comes to rest, center line guard. So probably going to see some big weight once again from Bracken, looking to at least peel off the front guard. There's potential there with the positioning that you could probably see it be a double peel there, going for both there. Sweet, working on it there, gets the hit, peels out one of them, jams the other sitting corner side. I will remind our viewers as well, if you're in the area, we'd love to especially see a nice packed house here for the championship finals coming up on Sunday. It's always nice for the teams once we get down to going from 4 sheets of play down to the championship final, to have a lot of support from the curling community, especially as you're looking to finally jump that one step that you need to head off to the Tim Hortons Briar and keep your hopes of being a national champion and a world champion alive. Big weight here from Burgess. Bracken working on it there. Middlestad joining him. Gets a hit. We'll just stick pretty much right there. So now you really need to see here as we're on to third stones here, Mike Fleming. You're probably going to see a bit more of a play of aggression, try to manufacture a potential for a steal, get a few points back and put the pressure on the Chad Stevens, who currently has been playing extremely well, to him and his team to hold a 5-1 lead. So really not needing to force the issue here. You're probably gonna. It's gonna be interesting to see here. I think he's looking at the potential for slashing out both yellows, but a little bit tough. You're probably gonna see. Yeah, Peter gonna come down and have a quick discussion. Of course, each team with 38 minutes of thinking time to complete their 10 ends of play. Usually when you account for it, it's about roughly, I believe that they like to say, about 3.5 to 4 minutes per end, give or take. And that's really if you're being extremely relaxed there. Of course, some ends take more or less time. So it looks like you're going to see a bit more of a peel utilizing your own guard. Try to open up the pass. And really leave nowhere to hide for Team Gibson. Big weight here. Brack and then Middlestat. Get the hit, rolls a bunch around. And nowhere to hide for those 2 stones remaining in the house. Update of the game on sheet E, as we see there Andrew Gibson and Mike Fleming having a bit of a discussion. We have a count of 2 for Alan O'Leary going into the 5th end break. And Kendall Thompson will have the hammer in end number 6, up by 1. And as I see there, our ice maker for the Dartmouth Curling Club there, Tracy Froud, doing a bit of ice maintenance. We have to definitely send a huge shout out to all the Dartmouth Curling Club. Of course, Lynn Burgess, the chair of this event, in her 3rd event as chair of the championship. And of course, her legion of volunteers from the Dartmouth Curling Club who give up their ice time for the week to put on this exciting showcase of the top curlers in Nova Scotia. Of course, these two events used to be separate multiple years ago, but in an effort to make it the showcase event that it is, they brought the men's and women's championships together under one roof, and it has, in my view, been an extremely good success. As we've had that, the great support sponsors like Deloitte and Scotty's, and of course the live streaming that you all enjoy so much. Big weight here from Gibson, gets the hit, sticks over there a little bit, will sit a count of 2. Seems pretty textbook there to play the double here, and really you put the double and make it. There won't be much else left for Andrew Gibson for this end, and they'll have to try to regroup going into the second half. Chad Stevens, the skip out of the Truro Curling Club. Gets the hit, doubles out the two yellow, and wow. That's all you can say is wow, because Chad Stevens has really been coming into form throughout this game and making some shots that have really not been giving any opportunity for Andrew Gibson to come back. Like, first you make that roll.
Oh, okay. Just checking.
Sorry, first you make the double, and then you roll behind the guard. Like, that's just absolute perfection. We'll let you know there as Gibson settles in for his final stone at this end. Without the last rock, we see a steal of 2 for Jamie Murphy to take a 6-3 lead over Brent McDougall. And McDougall will have the last rock after the break. It's a big shot needed here from Andrew Gibson. Oh no. Will get the hit, removes. Unfortunately does not remove the blue that he had hoped. Will leave a open draw to the paint for a count of 2. And with how Chad Stevens has been playing, you pretty much wouldn't bet against him to get it to the paint just perfect. Final stone here, end number 5. Chad Stevens. Sweeper's really working on this one here. Needs to go. Gotta be sure there, boys. A little bit of panic, but not much else needed there, as it will be a count of 2 for Chad Stevens to take a 7-1 lead in this contest on this Thursday morning, and he'll head into the break up by 6. Stay tuned. We'll have the second half of this matchup between Chad Stevens and Andrew Gibson. Coming up, you're watching the 2020 Deloitte Tankard here on 360 Live, powered by Bell 5.
This is Susan Lee. Have you met her? This is John Cyclone. He was a junior curler here for some years. He's job, but he's a great commentator. He knows his stuff from eons ago. He's a walking encyclopedia. Susan was a champion here in 1974-75, the last schoolgirl we had. She was one of the members of the junior team for the girls and to play in 75 in the Nationals.
Oh, wow.
So, and she's a long-standing member here. She's traveled a lot with Deloitte.
Deloitte make you work.
Yeah, and they made you work.
Yeah.
That's right. So she's been curling here since the 70s.
Cool.
70s, so
Nice to meet you.
seen a lot of
I remember the ceiling's green.
Yes, yes, the ceiling was green just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not that long ago that the ceiling was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 12 years. Maybe.
That's a lot better.
It does, and it has pad, and it had to insulate it, padding and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so they did change that. So the ceiling,
He was starting
yes,
when I left.
yes. Yeah, it's about 10 years ago. This is 10 years ago.
Yeah, because I think he was just starting around when I started there.
You were just so effective.
Yeah.
Baby. You weren't much smaller.
Hey,
You were a baby.
well, it shows something there when when I started was when they were still using running time during this event, and that was a way more conservative style there when you had that. So.
But you still knew as much about curling as you did now. So
Oh, yeah.
there were more facts. He came to learn to curl. He didn't really want to go on the ice. He was tapping every single statistic you want to think about. He was still in learning to get adjusted to rivers and things like that. So the desire to play was just too strong.
Yeah.
Bravo. So, yeah, that's good, John. You're a great commentator that way, but lots of trivia and everybody and all kinds of really good details.
Yeah.
That's good.
If I were a betting man, I'd probably guess that this game isn't going to be lasting too much longer. Yeah.
None of them Gibson teams have
Like,
a good league.
well, like, yeah, Andrew's team's just been. There's been those little breaks there that they have not been getting, and like Chad's just been too good. Like to have that double and then roll perfect behind the guard, it's like, what can you do? I always joke there, you just tip your cap and just say good work.
Yeah. We're on to the next year.
I feel like it. Actually, I haven't had the game go early the entire time. Because I had the Jones one, which went a full 10. And then I had Thompson, B. Thompson, which went an extra. Actually, scratch that. I had 9. I wouldn't go 9 the first day.
I think we only have one more and maybe 2 tops.
I'd guess 1 there because they had to play a minimum of 6.
Yeah, that's what it meant.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah. Well, that's where it was Stewart and Andrew's game. That was the first one that I called. I think the only reason why they even played the other end was just to not have to throw the rocks back. They don't drag them back. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back inside the Dartmouth Curling Club as it is draw number 5 of the 2020 Deloitte Tankard, presented here by 360 Live, powered by Bell 5. I'm John Seitman here, your man on the microphone for this matchup here between Team Chad Stevens and Team Andrew Gibson. A matchup that has really not gone the way of Team Gibson, as it seems just a few key misses here and there, and a exceptional play out of the Chad Stevens rink with 5 points of steals to open up the matchup, a single point in favor of Andrew Gibson in 3, a blank in the 4th end, and then a deuce for Stevens going into the break puts Chad up by a score of 7-1 here, as it could be the final countdown on the hopes of Andrew Gibson of heading on to the Tim Hortons Brier with his team here as the Nova Scotia champion. So as we jump back in, we'll just introduce the teams once again. Their team Chad Stevens curling out of the Truro Curling Club. Their lead is Callie Middlestat. Their second is Graham Brecken. Their third is Peter Burgess. Their skip is Chad Stevens. Their fifth is Chris Grancelli, and they curl out of the Truro Curling Club. Team Andrew Gibson, their lead is Donald McDermott. Their second is Mike Bardsley. Their third is Mike Fleming. And their skip is former Brier champion Andrew Gibson, and they curl out of the Lakeshore Curling Club. Chad holding a record of 3-1 going into this round. He was undefeated up until he lost during draw 4 of the Deloitte Tankard to longtime rival Jamie Murphy, who they faced off in a few finals before. There are a few thrillers over at the Mayflower in Halifax when this event first came to be of the combined men's and women's championships. So needing to manufacture multiple here, Andrew Gibson, he has Donald McDermott set up 2 corner guards. Stevens, not needing to force much of the issue, will just keep lobbing him in. That's really all that he needs to do. Really, all the pressure is more on Andrew Gibson and his rink out of the Lakeshore Curling Club. We'll update you there, as well as it's a steal of 1 for Stuart Thompson as he takes a 6-5 lead over Matthew Manuel through 5 ends of play. So that rock there from Bardsley comes to rest. Top 4. So immediately calling on Brecken to go for the hit. A reminder that when we come to you at 2 o'clock, it will be Where is it here? It'll be draw 5 action of the 2020 Scotties Tournament of Hearts, as it'll be Nancy Delahunt and Jim Nix. We'll have the call for you of Marianne Arsenault versus Julie McAvoy. McAvoy, a team that is going to be fighting it out to the end, but it looks like they'll have a tough road ahead. I believe they may be out of contention. I may be wrong. They had a tough start to the event, I know that for sure. And then Marianne Arsenault looking to get back to the playoffs once again. It'll be definitely a treat for you there, as Nancy Delahunt, a former Canadian and world champion. So enjoy having her on the call there for that one there. Bracken with the, actually my apologies, that was Peter Burgess with the hit. Sits a count of 4. Really, again, back all Team Stevens right now. And actually, we'll have 2 treats for you there, as on our other feature game, which is on sheet C. Jim Russell and former multi-time champion there, Penny LaRocque, will have the matchup between Jill Brothers and Mary Maditall. I guess that's just how it's been there, as you see it. Fleming sails one by. If I were guessing, this game will probably be nearing its conclusion. Unfortunately, it's just been a tough day there for Andrew Gibson and his rink, but they'll look to regroup as they face off against Matthew Manuel in the final game of the day. And again, I can't say it enough, they're always so good to see the consistency in the ice conditions so far all week. It hasn't changed much from sheet to sheet, as the consistency has been nice and high and the speed's good, and from talking to the players, there hasn't been much of any complaints whatsoever. Of course, Tracy Frouden and his crew do an excellent job getting it in tip-top shape. It was interesting, I was talking with Colton Steele from Team Thompson, and he was saying there how the ice definitely is different than what they're used to on a day-to-day basis when they play in the club. So it took a bit getting used to, but now, after a few draws, they feel nice and comfortable. Skipstone's here, Chad Stevens. Again, not needing to force is an issue, really. Just gets the hit, rolls out to the side. We'll sit a count of 3. So it's really the question of what can you do to try and manufacture a multiple. Really, if you don't place this one perfect, it's pretty much going to be a guaranteed game over. As really, I think the rest of this game is almost more for experience and preparing for the next two games. Andrew Gibson needing to get a few back at least, or else probably this game will be nearing its conclusion. We'll let you know, steal one there for Alan O'Leary as it's a 3-3 tie on sheath E, and that is against Kendall Thompson. This one's starting to curl here. Really starting to go. Gets the tap, flops right over. And not wasting any time there. Stevens just puts the brush down. Make it go away, and pretty much you've all but solidified a win. Final stone without the last rock, Chad Stevens. Make it go away, and really you may be putting this game to bed. Guess the hit sticks right there. We'll sit a count of 4. So really, it's like you've got to figure out how to play this hit to really ensure that you get yourself your 1, and then I guess go from there. It's pretty tough to think there that Chad Stevens would ever be able to give up a 6-point lead, potentially 5 if Gibson does score this single. I don't think I've ever seen it there, at least in my time commentating games. Final stone here, Andrew Gibson. Looks like it's gliding a bit to me. Will be a count of 1, a steal of 1 for Chad Stevens. That will make it 8-1. And it will be the match. Make the final 8-1 in favor of Chad Stevens. What a great performance from the team out of the Truro Curling Club, as it's been domination the whole way through to extend their record to 4-1. Andrew Gibson falls to 1-4 and will only be able to play spoiler on other teams there, of course, as it's only 3 teams make their way on to playoffs. These 2 teams will have a game tonight to get closer to the end of the round robin, and playoffs coming up on the weekend. So until we talk to you again, on behalf of our crew behind the scenes at 360 Live, powered by Bell 5, we say so